I ended up finding a 2-letter domain name.
Whoa. I didn't know this existed.
I know. I've got
I guess there's x.com, so.
Yeah. I've got pn.ms, and the thinking behind it being, it's a circuitous route, but I'm thinking about Perfectly Normal Beasts, which is a Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy reference. The reason I was thinking about Perfectly Normal Beasts is I was thinking about Arthur the sandwich maker who lands on La Muela, and he just makes sandwiches for the people who live there. Mm-hmm. And the reason I was thinking about being a sandwich maker is I was thinking about villages and this lovely idea of running a business being like entering into a village and figuring out what you can do there. Instead of sort of stomping in and going, I've got the solutions to things, it's like you set up a little stall and you're like, here's the thing, here's the thing. I want to integrate into the community. I want to be part of the thing because the village is important to me and I want to keep the village healthy and do my bit. And I really like that analogy.
Nice.
And so I was thinking about Perfectly Normal Beasts. And then the reason that I bought a domain name is extremely technical and esoteric because I'm trying to get... Do you know that meme of the dad from Malcolm in the Middle who then went on to be the guy in Breaking Bad? There's the thing where like...
Bryan Cranston, I think
he goes to... I'm going to get it wrong, but like he goes to like change a light bulb and then he realizes that there's a squeaky door and he has to go and fix that. And then he opens a drawer to get the WD-40 and then there's the drawer won't open or whatever. And he just ends up having to go further and further back through the stack.
Yeah. I have not seen that meme.
It's a good little clip and it explains a lot about life. Explains a lot about dads. I'm trying to get my computer to talk to the outside world. I have to be able to access my computer from my computer.
Okay, that seems simple enough.
Through the basically, I need to see that I can access my computer all the way through the internet and back in again. For reasons.
So, that'd be hard to know that you did it. And didn't
no, I know that I died because it's not working. So I definitely know that I didn't do it.
Oh no.
I did all the settings. I'm sure I did all the settings right, but it's not working. That's a pain in the fucking ass. That is that. I'm closing all of the terminal windows. I'm closing all the ChatGPT windows.
Terminate the terminal.
I'm turning off the noisy devices. I'm here. I'm present.
Dude, it's been a hard week.
Oh,
hard couple weeks. I've been feeling really down. I have some theories.
Okay.
So we've talked about the calorie in, calorie out model myth and what the body does to compensate to use the same amount of calories every day. And if you're moving, it uses those calories for movement. But if you're not moving, then you can start to ruminate. You can start to, your brain is using that energy. And like I've been piecing this together now because I've been given the advice and feeling the pull to rest, to heal my body, to give it time to work on the things that it needs to. And I've taken that so far as to not even do my normal yoga routine. I'm not really walking very much. I'm really trying to just sit and lay and meditate. And I think that
those calories are getting used up somewhere.
Yeah. Like I'm still using that same amount of calories. And so it feels like in order to go through the process of this bodily healing mitosis I'm trying to get through, I kind of have to push through this tunnel of mental anguish. Like if I want one, I have to have the other. Kind of like I have a light plan to start doing more yoga, to do really mild yoga, restorative and yin yoga, maybe do a walk now and then, which I really don't like walking, but I can at least, listen to some music and kind of dance and stuff and whatever. So I can try and help myself through this time. And so it's still restful, but not so torturous. It's been torturous is a strong word.
No,
but
I feel you. I wonder whether, and it's not like a grown-up suggestion, but it's a real one and it's a genuine one. Things like video games.
Yeah, no, well, see, I have that. I'm still playing Infinity Kingdom, and it's...
I don't mean like mobile casual, like something that's going to get you a bit more, maybe something story-driven, something that's maybe a bit more puzzly.
Sure.
That you can, actually exercise the brain, because that's, you burn some brain calories.
Yeah. That makes sense.
I've got plenty of recommendations.
I might hit you up for that. Or if you wanna get them on the air, like, yeah, you can tell me about them now.
Yeah, I mean, I can do. I've just restarted playing. Are you aware of the Stanley Parable?
That sounds familiar, but I don't. Yeah, tell me about it.
It was built using the using the same engine as Half-Life 2 back in 2013, and it was made just as a mod, effectively, for Half-Life. And then the developer sort of made it its own thing, and it became wildly popular, critically acclaimed, because it's meta as hell. Like, I think you'd really enjoy it, and it's now available everywhere. They last year or the year before, I think it was 22, they released like the Ultra Deluxe Edition, which is what I'm playing now, and you can go through the original game, and then there's extra stuff that you can do as well. And I can't remember what's extra and what's original, but it's very charming. It's very silly. There's kind of Hitchhiker-y kind of humor in there. There's very Portal kind of humor in there as well.
Cool.
There is a theme that I'm becoming more and more aware of which I'd love to discuss with you at some point, which is like dystopian modern capitalism. Like,
so a mirror.
No, well, yeah. There is a trope that I really enjoy of, like, Lost did it. There's a thing about so the character that you play, Stanley, his job is he gets told to push a button on it or press a key on his keyboard, and he presses the key on his keyboard, and then he gets another instruction to press a key on his keyboard, and that's what he does all day. And that's how you start the game. So you start the game with, and then one day there were no instructions and no buttons to push, and you have to sort of go from there. I love this trope of like I said, Lost did it, of the big nameless, faceless company that has these weird menial tasks like Severance, like that as an aesthetic or that as a genre, I really like. Anyway, that Portal.
I love Portal.
Yeah, like give that another go. Portal 2, so much more fun.
I haven't played Portal 2 yet, so.
Oh, dude, get on that. Yeah, get on that. Because that will exercise your brain.
Sure.
And that's a much more healthy game to play, because you really are actually getting some lateral thinking in. I would say give that a go.
I like that. I will strongly consider that.
Please do. Said that in a weird way. Please do.
I feel like, so I mean, maybe this doesn't really matter, but like where my mind has been going while I've been feeling kind of down is that I feel like this ego, this lifetime, isn't going to be achieving any high scores. Like,
okay, sure,
and yeah, and it's not necessarily horrible, but just kind of like it's not like it's akin to a grieving process. It's just like,
that's exactly the word I was about to use.
Yeah,
yes, talk me through that.
Yeah, I just feel like, okay, well, this is where my mind goes. I understand I wasn't given the easiest lifetime. Like I was born into things that obviously were not in my control. Like I didn't have a head start on stuff. I had things that were holding me back. I made choices that held me back more than I expected. And so I have a lot of leeway for myself. And I feel really good about where I've gotten with all of those challenges. sometimes, an aside, sometimes I wonder to myself, like, if I exaggerate even to myself how bad the neglect and trauma from my childhood was. And then I remember my sister, and then I don't wonder anymore. Like, if she's the way she is, like, it makes sense that I'm also the way I am. Like, we're different, but we're definitely displaying trauma responses. I don't know, because I like my memory of my child, like while I was going through my childhood, I felt like everything was great.
Yeah.
Because I was telling myself it was great because that was the only way that I could get through it. Because this child needed comfort, needed support, and so I just made it up that I had it. And there were moments, there were morsels, and I held on to those, and those were like a single story that I kept repeating to myself over and over again, all through the times where that morsel wasn't being given to me anymore. Anyway, so I'm feeling such a challenge right now in fertility, in money, in time management, in health, in my body, in my career, which I feel like is different than money. And I don't know. I even get these accolades. You know, I won a thing recently, and the competition wasn't a competition at all. My plumber didn't even know about it. He was nominated. He ignored the email. He was put on the list anyway. I voted for him maybe every other day, and he placed as well. And it's like, I think I was one of probably two people that voted for him, and he didn't promote it to anybody. It's possible, you know, very possible that other people voted for him as well. But I think it was a very small voter base for this competition. And so I'm just like, okay, well, I'm glad I won. It's an accolade. That's great. I also feel like, you know,
it's almost as if, Brendan, you're not feeling very good about yourself, and so you're finding things to minimize. You're finding achievements that you can now say, oh, that doesn't count. That one doesn't count.
Release the vote numbers. That's what I want.
Lock her up.
Let's prove it. Let's.
Yeah, that sounds like a familiar thought pattern.
Yeah.
Which is, yeah, you know, this good thing happened. It doesn't really count though. It didn't really. Nah, that one. Nah.
Yeah. Well, I'll still use it on my website. I'm still going to promote it. I'm going to still champion myself with it. But there is a part of me that's like, just, well, you know, like I wasn't competing against anybody, you know? Yeah, I got first place in a category of one.
What reality has changed between, let's say, 2 weeks ago and now, in terms of that accolade? What has actually changed materially?
Materially, I don't know, but talking to my plumber and realizing that he didn't even know that it happened. And then I was like, oh, hey, like, I saw you on the thing and I voted for you. And he's like, oh, great, thank you. Oh, I guess I should look at the email they sent me. And he looked at it and he's like, oh, you placed and you need to confirm that you want to be entered. It's like, so it was just this external confirmation of like this guy that didn't even try. I don't know their situation. I don't know how many customers they have. I don't know. Nope. So many things. Yep. Yeah. No, I don't know.
But you're feeling you have what they call a low mood, and so understandably, it feels like perhaps you're looking for reasons to.
Okay, so additionally, I did a project this past week and a half. It didn't feel during the process of remodeling, it didn't feel like everything was kind of like looking great. In the end, looks fantastic. I just finished it up yesterday. It's fucking fantastic. Client's super happy. It's going to work great. But during the process, I was like, man, I'm just kind of like not cutting corners, but just like doing it good enough. And I like to do it better than good enough. And I don't know. I think I was in the mindset to look at my own work with that lens because of something else that had happened to me earlier, on top of already feeling down. And then I was being more self-critical. in that moment. I did come to the realization that, when before I'd finished and when I finished this project, I was like looking at it again and I was like, damn, this actually looks fucking dope. Like I did a really great job, and that feels great. So what I just hinted at, like a week ago, I watched a documentary with Margaret. I think it was called Walking Through the Fire on Netflix. It's about, well, what Margaret told me when she picked it and we were going to start watching it. She said it was a documentary about a woman who gave up her child for adoption, and then she does some research and finds the child. Like, that sounds heartwarming and beautiful. What spoilers for the next I don't know how long, for the rest of this chapter. What happens is this woman gives her child up for adoption because she was like 16 or 17, just couldn't care for. I think the guy left, and also it made sense at the time. And then, like 40 or 50 years later, she gets a letter from a police department that they need a DNA sample from her to confirm that a body that was found, it matches her DNA, and it might be her child. And she's like, well, fuck, I gave her up so that she could have a better life, and what the fuck? And so she goes on this mission to find out. Like, so she sends off her sample, but it's going to take a long time to find out. So she also contacts a PI, contacts a specialist in tracking down missing people, and tries to even find out her name, because she wasn't allowed to get her name and all that stuff, and like goes down this huge rabbit hole, eventually finds her, and she was missing, and like there's posters up for her, and like, there's this big search for her, but then that body that the police found was not her. And so she's like, well, now I'm like really invested, and she is missing, and what's going on? And so she digs deeper and finds out that the home that she was put into, the father not only was sexually and probably other ways abusing her daughter, but he was like a serial rapist and murderer in multiple states. And oh man, it was horrific and just traumatizing on that level alone. But what really hit me was, so there's a bunch of these recorded interviews between the rapist and his wife and the police, because they reported the girl missing after he killed her. But he fucking killed her and then chopped her body up and put it in a barrel and buried it in his backyard. Like, in addition to a bunch of other stuff he did, this is crazy. Anyways, during the interviews, the way that he would talk to his wife, to the police, sounded exactly like my ex-wife's parents. And my ex-wife's parents are really complicated to me, because I spent a lot of time with them. My ex-wife wanted to be with them. She loved them. She wanted to be with them. We saw them like once or twice a week for many, many years, and when we were local. And when you're seeing somebody that often, you form a bond, whether they're kind of monstrous or not. You see a humanity in them. And I can see the humanity in them. I can see how broken they are. I can see the ways that they're trying and the ways they're not at all trying, and the ways that they're oblivious and the ways that they're present, and the ways that they fucked up my ex-wife, the way that they raised her, and the things the trials that they put her through, which gives me so much more compassion for my ex-wife. And one of the reasons why I stayed with her for so long, despite a bunch of factors. And, I was going to say I see myself in that too, but very different childhood. Anyways, so the dynamic between the rapist murderer and his wife on this show, after I made that connection, I made another connection between my ex-wife and me, because the wife on the show was enabling and denying the reality and just following along with her monstrous husband and putting her head in the sand and just being like, you're the only person for me, all I need is you. Like, you just created this false world where like they were so codependent, so needing each other. And I did that to an extent. I was remarkably codependent. I was completely there for my ex-wife and gave up everything of myself in order to make it work, make the relationship, her, the stuff work as well as possible, because I felt like I had no other option. It was just what had to be done. And seeing it in this documentary of these monstrous people and feeling like, fuck, am I that? Was I that? How much did I hurt myself and other people from that? And how much did I condone and not encourage, but enable with my ex-wife and her behaviors? Not that I think it's my fault, but it's still, I know it's a normal, like, expected response for the abused to make up a story, to defend their abusers, to protect themselves from the reality of the situation. And then that also just ties in to like this feeling that I felt my entire life, that I don't know my reality. I've been lied to, and I've lied to myself to keep my head above water and to keep going, to allow myself to stay alive, to allow myself to feel okay. Man, I really want to go back to therapy. I feel so shaky in my body right now. I feel cold. And like, I don't, my mind also goes like, well, I mean, there's nothing to it now. Like, I got through it. I did it. I successfully navigated that trial of life. And I'm better for it now. I don't feel like I'm a bad person, but I feel like I could have been better, I guess. But then I couldn't have, no free will. It was a difficult documentary to watch. That's for sure.
Particularly difficult given your looking at orders of events. Do you feel like your mood was influenced by the documentary, or like did you notice this sort of dip in mood before you started watching the documentary?
Maybe a little bit. It's hard to say now. No, definitely. I was already kind of feeling a bit of a decline, and then this hit me last week, and I was a bit like, then that was a tremendous dip of like, wow, this is really something. I want to think the best of everybody. That's the thing. Like my ex-wife, my parents, everybody. I want to think that they're doing whatever they're doing, good or bad, for a reason that makes sense, for a reason that's not necessarily noble, but they're doing the best they can. And I know that they are, in a way.
And they're doing it for a reason that makes sense to them at the time.
Yeah.
Doesn't make it fun. Doesn't make it good, but it makes it what it is. And that is something that, yes, you can have compassion for.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds like there's a few maybe grieving processes going on, and maybe they're at different stages. Mm-hmm. But the metaphor that I was going to go with, which I'm sure is shaky, is right now it feels like your internal camera, for want of a better word, your internal selfie cam is just miscalibrated because as a symptom of feeling down, your ability, you've essentially got personality dysmorphia, which I think is a natural thing that happens. You're miscalibrated, and so it is then very easy to look at, well, I'm already down here anyway. Let's see what other shit I can drag up that's probably my fault. I already feel shit anyway, so like I'm already probably a bad person or whatever. And so I kind of just want to say that it's not that these things aren't true, but or that they don't deserve or warrant looking at, but not while your equipment is faulty.
Sure.
Because you're in a hall of mirrors and you're just going to end up seeing distorted images of stuff. Just like, nothing changed. Nothing actually changed between 2 weeks ago and now with this award that you won, but your perception of it changed.
Actually,
you found out different information.
I did,
but that didn't change what happened.
No, but my perception didn't really change. It just got enhanced. I already thought that it was kind of not a competition. That's not how I talked about it, because I was trying to put on a good show. But no, I really thought
I'm interested in calling bullshit on that.
You call it all you want, but it's true. I was flabbergasted that I won, and then, but the whole time when I first got the first email about it, that I was nominated, I was like, who really, and the nominations are kept anonymous, and it felt to me from the beginning like the company that's putting this on, they nominated me and other people. They just did a Google search of people in the area and just said, "You're nominated. We nominated you, but we're not going to tell you that. So you're on the list now. If you want to continue, you can continue." And then I'm sure the voting was real, but I think that probably 90% of them didn't get any votes at all, like, because they just didn't even know or try. And there was probably, I'm guessing, a couple hundred votes in each category. That's what it appears like to me, and it just feels like, oh well, I got my friends and family to vote for me, and I probably swamped the rest of the people because nobody tried. I don't know. This is the story I'm making up, but this is the story I've felt the entire time.
And the reason I was calling bullshit ? Is that at no point came up when we were talking about it, and we talked about it for a couple of weeks.
Yes.
And so I'm just wondering if there's a little bit of memory rewriting a little bit there, or
definitely not
something. Okay.
Nope. No. I understand where you're going, and I appreciate it. It's just not the case. Okay. Not this time. When I talked to my plumber and he had no idea about being placed, like, that was just extra confirmation of that theory I had already had. I was just like, okay. And so that external validation of the story I had been telling myself is why I'm talking about it now. Because I'm like, now.
So let's put the tiger on the table and yell at it then. That sucks. And I'm sorry it feels like it's devalued what you've done. That sucks.
Yeah, I guess devalued is the right word. It just doesn't.
It's taken the shine off.
Yeah, I'm only hesitating.
Putting words in your mouth.
No, yeah, and I appreciate that. I actually like it when people put words in my mouth and I can say yes or no, because sometimes it's hard to put my own words in my mouth.
Yeah. Options are good.
Helps triangulate.
Yes.
It's not like I'm not disappointed. I just feel like, and I'm happy to have won. I'm happy to be able to use this for my business. It feels like a gift from the universe, but it was just a little bit easy because it's not that it doesn't feel earned. But I feel, it seems impossible. It's impossible to me that I am the best kitchen remodeler in Portland.
Okay. All right. That's fair enough. You know what happened? Got a gimme. Sometimes you get a gimme. They don't come along that often. But maybe sometimes
I should just be happy for it.
You got a gimme. No, no. Not that. No, not even that. It's actually more that you but I have my name on a book, a published book. I have no business really with having my name on that book as like edited by / like the main author, because I didn't do that much work on the book. There were other people who did maybe equal amounts, maybe a little bit less, but like not that much less. And there was a guy who put the whole thing together, who's, for whatever reason, his business model means that his name didn't get put on the book, except maybe somewhere further down or on the, on a back cover. But I have a book, and it's a real book that was put out by a real publisher, and it was in a real shop and everything. I mean, nothing's like come of it, but that's a gimme. Like, that's just one of those. The universe just threw me a gimme. In those moments, I think you have to treat them in the same way as when something kind of low-level shitty happens, and just go,
sure,
yeah, so it goes. It's that thing we talked about weeks and weeks ago, which weirdly came up today when I was watching a video about the idea of reversals. The farmer who's like, my son got this thing, and then my son got blinded by a thing, and then the neighbor's like, oh no, that's awful. Well, actually, we'll see.
Now
it turns out that this thing. There is something to just at that level, just going, okay, cool. It is what it is. It's either a gimme or it's a skinned knee. And I think if you can look at both of them with the same philosophical, and crack on, then it's what it is actually is not being attached to it.
I definitely, I don't feel attached to the win, or if it had been a loss. Like, if it had been a loss, I'd be like, all right, whatever. I didn't expect to win anyway. And having won, it's like, oh, bonus. Like, okay, cool. Another aspect of it is, and this is the part where it's a bit more real. I judge myself a bit too harshly on my work, even though I do great work and the end result is awesome. It's what my clients want, and my process gives a lot of things to the client that they like, that including like communication and collaboration. It's like offerings that I am confident my peers are not offering. I look at the areas where I either am not offering what they are offering, or I'm inferior in some areas or whatever, and I critique myself really hard for that. And because I'm lacking or less than in those areas, that I'm not worthy. I realize all the things about that, and I know that that's a fallacy. I know that that's
doesn't stop you doing it though.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it does. I mean, realizing it does help. Like, cognitively, like, hey, I can stop this spiral. I'm fucking great, and I can redirect and remember, like, I'm a single person. I can only do so much, and with what I have, I'm doing great, and that's amazing, and that helps a lot. But yeah, there's times when I'm like, I get disconnected from that presence, and I'm just like, I go too slow, I'm too dirty, I don't have this proficiency or that expertise or whatever, and yeah, it gets me down.
What would it be like to feel like you were enough in your business?
The first thing I thought of was not true, which was that I'd be financially successful.
Okay.
Because financial success is not a feeling. I guess it is a feeling. But I don't really, when I say financial success, I don't mean the feeling. I mean the bank account is more full.
What would you have to do to be enough?
Oh, I am enough. What would I have to do to feel enough? If that's what your question was intending.
You interpret it how you like.
That one's a harder question. I don't know. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. And perception is all we have.
Mm-hmm. Mm.
Yeah, it's okay. I'm not trying to trick you or back you into an answer.
No, not at all.
I think
I appreciate the questions.
Yeah, because, and I think anyone who does feel like they genuinely can look at their business and their stuff and say they're doing enough might question whether they are. Whereas the people who are doubting themselves are always, for one thing, they're always striving for better. They're always holding themselves up to a higher standard.
Yeah, like, it's the same as if you're thinking about and worrying about and asking yourself if you're a narcissist, then you're not a narcissist. Yeah.
I now call them health checks because it's a friendlier name than audits, as we've discussed before. But I do these podcast health checks, and I've just completed one today. And every time I send them off, I'm like, and it's weird because it's me critiquing someone else's stuff, but like, I'm always looking at it going, have I put enough into this? This doesn't feel like anything. And that feeling is lessening over time.
Oh, good.
But it's lessening over time because I think each time I'm putting a little bit more in. I'm doing a little bit more. I now do a video walkthrough of the document. I mocked up someone's art. I gave a recommendation for a change in artwork this time and actually did a mock-up. Like, I'm doing stuff because it never feels like enough. The last client who paid the same amount said this was more than value for money. This was, they would have paid that much for the document alone and then to have had the chat with me on top. That doesn't matter. That doesn't matter because that's external validation. And at the end of the day, so I guess what I'm saying here is like I'm down in that hole with you, man. And that is, I think, part of being a conscientious business owner is to always be aware of, I don't know, like we're always comparing, and we know all the stuff. I mean, everybody who teaches the stuff knows all the stuff, but I reckon even the people who teach the stuff, they do the same thing because it's, everything's everything.
Everything is everything.
The people in the circles that I run in who don't tell people, they maybe give advice or give guidance on how to run businesses. Like, you can take a look behind closed doors and you go, oh, okay, all right, you're not necessarily following your own advice. And I see that in lots of places. I see that in one of the podcasts that I often cite as a good go-to source for certain things. I look and like they're not implementing any of the advice that they give. I've been all around the houses with this stuff because I looked at someone else's product. I got through whatever reasons I got the opportunity to look at how someone else does what I do. They charge a lot more for it, but it's like it's detailed and it's long and it's this and the other. And I felt like there's all this stuff I don't know. And what I felt at the time that was interesting is a sense of like, well, okay, well, your job now. Your job is to be better than that person. Give them a run for their money. Like, as the saying goes, actually, like, what would it look like if you just went, I'm going to do what they do, but but a little bit better. I want to keep them on their toes. I want to, be friendly, but compete. Like, fucking compete. And that gave me a little bit more of the impetus to maybe start implementing a few things, but also recognize my perspective and my point of view, or my point of ingress, my sort of the way I look at stuff being very different from this person's. And that's also good, because it's good that we have these points of difference. It's good that they're different things, not just price points, but the fact that I'm a lot more focused on the content, because I vehemently and fundamentally believe that's what moves the needle more than your packaging. Yes, your packaging is important, but anyway, this is making.
Well, packaging helps get the first person, gets the person the first time.
Yes,
and the content helps keep them.
Yes. And it's the content that makes people want to tell other people. It's not the packaging.
Yeah, for sure.
And, like I went on a whole thing yesterday on Mastodon about the fairly big glib advice people give about you should spend the same time marketing your stuff as you do creating it. And I'm like,
oh my God,
okay.
No.
Motherfuckers who say that have lost sight of what it's like to create stuff on your own. Like, that's great if the amount of person hours is spread over you and 3 VAs. That's great. Like, yeah, do that.
Yeah.
But it doesn't work, like, because otherwise you end up with a shitty product that's well marketed, and that ain't helping no one. I guess all of this to say there are always going to be ways that we can look at our stuff and find deficiencies in it. And I think if we're honest with ourselves, that's always going to be the case.
Yeah. Yeah. There's too much to do. There's too much. Yeah. There's too many options. Too many things. Yeah. Like I'm thinking now of like, other remodeling contractors will offer like CAD drawings and 3D walkthroughs and like these things that, sure, I could learn it and I could do it. And like I have the technical skills and the aptitude for it, but I don't want to. I'm not driven to do that. I communicate with my clients in different ways, and it's worked for us. I don't feel like I've ever. I mean, I may have lost a job because somebody else provided that, and then the client just didn't come with me. But then, okay, they got what they wanted from somebody else, and that's fine. I know I am competing, but I want people that want what I give, and I want to give what resonates for me and makes me happy. So another aspect of this is I passionately want to enjoy my job. I don't want my job to be a slog or just a way to make money or whatever, because I don't really care about the money. Like I want the financial success because I don't want to have stress over how to make the next mortgage payment. But I don't spend a lot on myself. I don't need a lot of things. Like I don't even get the new iPhone every year anymore. Like I'm really happy with what I have. And I'm not looking, I have certain goals for items or events or whatever that I want to save for. But really, like somebody gives me a check and I deposit it and I don't think about it. I'm not thinking about the money. I'm not like I don't have this money goal. And so like the money is not a super big factor in my job. And that is the main compensation for the job. So if that's not a big driver for me, then I can't not like my job, or else I won't do it. So I focus on the areas of the home that I really like to work on. I implement practices and offerings in ways that light me up and not necessarily feel like a drag. And so far that's worked pretty well for me. Although, now I am finding, I don't really think that has driven the slowdown in work for me at all. What I really feel like is that when COVID hit, everything digital, everything online regarding my business and the businesses around me kind of reset. Things just changed, and I just kind of I was boosted along because of unemployment and loans and other things that made me not really notice that all changed while I wasn't looking. And so now I'm, trying to change the online presence, trying to do stuff, and that's slow going. It's because it's hard for me. It's not something that I feel good about. I guess I could hire it out. Then, that's more money that I'm spending, and it feels like risky because I'm like, is this even going to work? I don't know. And then at the same time, I'm debating, well, there's this slowdown here. Should I change to another career? Should I get my electrical license again and start working for somebody else? Should I really put a lot more effort into a health coach kind of thing? I don't think that's going to be what I do. Should I just fucking, do DoorDash stuff to get some extra cash? I don't know. All these things are floating around, and it's hard to really set a good goal, set a good plan into action when I'm also feeling down about stuff, feeling like I'm not as good as I am. Margaret called me a genius the other day. I was like flabbergasted, I guess is the right way. It's kind of like, what? And not dismissing it, I think, but like, it's just hard to believe. But since then, I've been trying to repeat that to myself, like, I'm a genius, or Margaret thinks I'm a genius, and that feels good. It feels really good.
You're a gift. You are a gift to the world.
Oh, wow.
Not in the way that every motherfucker's a gift. Like, fuck off. You're a very special gift.
Well, thank you.
You are a light. I like you very much, and I think you're very brilliant.
Thank you, kind sir.
I am bummed that you're not seeing that right now, but this is, I don't know if this is a British saying, but it's swings and roundabouts. You're there to hold up a mirror to me when I'm seen a warped image, and I hope that in my way I can do the same.
You do every day.
It sucks to be in that spot, and for me, I think time is one of those things that helps.
Yeah.
And trying to resist pulling threads and worrying at things like a worrying a little scab, just with the fingers just burying in there. Mm-hmm. Which, when you're in that mode, when you're in that sort of negative space, it's so easy to do, and it can feel in some ways, I don't know whether it's cathartic or it seems to do something. There's a value in doing that sometimes. It feels like I would bring us back to our original, or not the original, but the thing I was saying earlier about video games or books or really good TV. I think something that's more interactive is good, and set that big, beautiful mind to a more enjoyable, productive task than eating itself.
Yeah. One, I have been doing a pretty fun mental task, which is something I don't want to describe too much to you because you're going to get surprised with it later.
Okay.
but that's been fun, and it's sparked other side journeys as well into this art form, and I'm trying to kind of get myself to do more of that, which has been really fun.
It's time for Song Wars, the war of the songs. just like that thought there. Just like, we should do that. We should do Song Wars.
We should definitely do Song Wars, dude.
Should each bring a little song.
I like that.
How about that as a little project?
Let's do it. What's the prompt?
Okay. Let's because this is how we do. Right. Brendan and I have
Oh my God.
Each week, we're thinking of bringing a new original song and playing it for the other. What should our play it for the other? We need a suggestion for our first song.
Oh my God.
And thank you.
And thank you.
I've started playing with.
Amazing.
They've got advanced voice mode now, or I've got access to advanced voice mode now with ChatGPT. It's phenomenal. It's a game changer to be able to have a pretty casual ass conversation with your phone.
Amazing.
And to yeah. Okay.
Speaking of game changer, dude, God, that show is just
so good.
Pure gold.
Yep. Get ready for a game changer. I've been here the whole time. That he should have that on his gravestone.
Oh, hell yeah.
That would be phenomenal. Sam Reich.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I've been here the whole time. How about a theme song that captures the energy of starting something new? You could write a song titled Fresh Start with a lively up. No, I don't want fucking musical suggestions. I just want Fresh Start. I actually, no, you know what? It feels more organic. I like the idea of Game Changer.
Ooh, Game Changer. Holy
That's
shit.
our prompt. Doesn't have to be the TV show Game Changer. Just those two words, Game Changer.
The words. Game Changer. Dang. All right. How long are we giving ourselves? Was there any other criteria for Song Wars on that Radio 4 show?
It was 6 music, not Radio 4.
6 music. Oopsies.
I don't think so. I think they did it every 2 weeks.
Okay. Because
they would write a song and then they'd come back and then they'd play the songs. And then the week after they would set the challenge for the next songs.
Okay.
I mean, another way of doing it would be 1 week I write a song, next week you write a song.
I like doing the song. I like that. Let's both do this prompt, and then next week we'll play them for each other, and then the next week we'll give ourselves a new prompt. Right. That way we're only making a new song every 2 weeks. That sounds really good. But then
why did I agree to this?
What are we doing? We don't have time for this.
It'll be fun actually to get my little keyboard back out and get GarageBand going and make some, like bleep, bloop, bleep, loops, bleep, bloops, and loops and things like that. Perfectly fine.
Bleep, bloop, loops.
Yeah, and I think a constraint is it has to be no longer than 90 seconds.
Whoa. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's got to be 90. I was going to go with a minute, but I thought, no, let's go 90 seconds.
Dang. Okay. Okay. So no trance hits here.
No. No long jam solos.
Okay. 90 seconds. That is...
Get in, get out.
Yep. That's fair.
It's a verse and a chorus.
Mm-hmm. A verse and a chorus. Yeah. Yep. Okay.
Definitely don't have time for this.
No, same here.
All right. Well.
Yeah, that's gonna be fun. All right. Well, this will. I'll look into. I'll think about Portal 2. And Stanley Parable.
Yeah.
But this is definitely gonna be something that's gonna get me excited and my mind active. And this is cool too, because the other creative project I'm working on it's super creative and I have a lot of input in it, but it's also I'm evolving something else. And like, so there's constraints there, and this has constraints too, but there's a limit to what I can think of with the other thing. And this feels a bit more like open-ended in some ways. So that's exciting. Yeah, I like it.
All right. I was thinking about ways that we could beef up the podcast and maybe make it more formatted. I didn't think this was what I had in mind. I love it. I
love it too. I wanted to implement, with NAFT back in the day. One of our original premises was a cover challenge that we would challenge each other to cover a song and then alternate. And then I got so bogged down in the legalities of copyright law, and I looked into how much it would be to get the rights, and it was like fucking so expensive and so
didn't cost me a penny because you told me about a muse.
Yeah,
and that didn't cost me a penny. Yeah, that was great when I put out my little cover.
Yeah, muses.
But putting it out in podcast form is a goddamn nightmare.
That's exactly it. I wanted to put it out in the podcast, and it's like, okay, well, how many downloads are you going to get? I'm like, I don't know. I mean, 50 probably, but also it could go to 1,000. I don't know.
No.
So, but yeah, making originals, like, no worries about that.
Mm-hmm.
And then, fun.
Excellent.
And then I'm also like, I've got in the back of my head, like incorporating what we're talking about also into the song and stuff. So that's good stuff.
Love it.
Quantum of solace.
But no more than a quantum.
And as always, correct me if I'm wrong.